For years, we've been told the same story about social media. If you're stuck scrolling, that's your fault. Weak discipline, bad habits, low self control. Put the phone down. And I agree with that in some shape, fashion, or form, right? Simple story, clean blame. Except now, that story is in the courtroom. In the landmark social media harm case, Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg is testifying while courts examine whether major platforms engineer compulsion, especially in young users, through design features like the infinite scroll, autoplay, and algorithmic feeds. These lawsuits were brought by families, youth plaintiffs, and school districts who argue the harm wasn't just from content, but from behavior shaping design. Thousands of related cases have been consolidated, and this trial acts as a bellwether, a test case that could influence what happens next. So, I've done the dirty work for you. I've already mapped this out. All right. Now, here's the platform map just so we can stay precise and we can stay direct. You understand me? Still defendants in this trial. Instagram, owned by Meta, the core product at the issue. YouTube, owned by Google, also named in youth harm claims. Previously involved but settled before trial. Peep, peep game. These two platforms settled before trial. They didn't want no smoke. They seen something like, hey, we're gonna go ahead and get this shit nipped in the bud right now. TikTok, owned by ByteDance, right? TikTok, which is owned by ByteDance, I do have a visual up right here. Let me get it up real quick. Let me get it up real quick for y'all, man, so you can see while I'm mapping this shit out for y'all, so you can see these faces. We always see the platforms, but we rarely see the faces. Here we go. Yeah, go and show that. Go and show that. Go and show them faces. Yeah, there we go. There we go. Algorithm on trial, design versus choice. Y'all like my shit? All right. Anyway, still defendants in this trial. I'm gonna run back over them again, and then we're gonna start the show. Instagram, owned by Meta, the core product at issue. YouTube, owned by Google, and you can also say Alphabet for that matter, but also named in youth harm claims. Previously involved but settled before trial, TikTok, which is owned by ByteDance, settled. Snapchat, Snap Inc., settled. These two guys on the right, they already settled. You feel what I'm saying? For an, I'm gonna say an undisclosed amount. You know what I'm saying? I was trying to find the amount. I'm still searching for this shit. This shit ain't over yet. Everything gonna come out in the open. Mark Zuckerberg, he testifies, and I want to say 5 p.m. my time. So that'll be later on today, I believe. Right? Yeah. So again, Instagram owned by Meta, the core product at issue. YouTube owned by Google, also named in youth harm claims. Previously involved but settled before trial was TikTok, owned by ByteDance, Snapchat, owned by Snap Inc. These two on the right hand are already settled. TikTok, ByteDance, Snap Inc., Snapchat, they already settled before the trial even happened. So when headlines say Meta's platforms, the courtroom focuses mainly Instagram, with Meta as the corporate defendant, not the user on trial, not the content on trial. The design logic is on trial. This is the prescription. And today we examine the machine, not just the symptoms. Let's start the show. Yeah, let me get right. Let me put these motherfuckers on the screen real quick because we are about to get into some gangster shit. You understand what I'm saying? Now, this is why I started doing content about this type of shit, the algorithms, the design, the foundation of it, what it does to your brain. You understand what I'm saying? What it does to us, how it reconditions us, or how it attempts to recondition us, and how we can get our shit back. How the design of social media filled in the pockets of blank and dead space. Those dead spaces was where we became um more creative, imaginative. You feel what I'm saying? It robbed us of our boredom and things of that nature, but we'll get to that in a different light. But for those of us who have children, like myself, I have a 16-year-old, I have an 11-year-old, and I have a 9-year-old. My babies, a lot of my partners got children. You feel what I'm saying? This is something that we need to be watching. You understand what I'm saying? Because one day our kids will be on social media if they're not already. My oldest is, my youngest two are not. I mean, they watch, well, yeah, you know what I'm saying? All these kids watch TikTok, but I'm very observant. You know what I'm saying? These kids grew up in a different type of era. These are the COVID babies. These are the babies that grew up and the whole world stopped in the middle of their development. So their communication patterns are different from ours. Um, and how they like just if you watch them and how they communicate is very different. And I noticed, I thought about how we communicated growing up versus how they are communicating growing up, and how different it would have been if the whole world stopped and you had to stay inside. And the only way you could connect with somebody for a period of time was through a screen. I would have to think that a part of that fell right in these platforms' laps. You understand what I'm saying? See, most people think about the COVID shit with the vaccines and all that, and that's one part of it. I'm still vaccine free. You know what I'm saying? I'm one of the chosen few. You understand me? I survived. You feel me? But the other part of that is this. I wonder what the conversations was when the world stopped and the only thing we had to communicate was these black mirrors in our hands and on our laps and on our desk. You understand what I'm saying? I wonder what the conversation was. Everything went up. Everything went up. You feel what I'm saying? Everything went up. Engagements went up. Everything just went up. And a part of me, I think everybody has a piece of conspiracy brain, had me thinking like, you know, was this just by chance or was this engineered? And when I have these type of conversations and shows, um, and I do my research and I'm learning, right? The more and more I dig, the more and more I'm figuring out, oh, this shit was engineered. You feel what I'm saying? It's the reason why a lot of these companies have um they have, for instance, marketing. Marketing, there's somebody always in marketing that um the whole thing to, if you're marketing to somebody, you're working on how can we get that person's attention over here to come buy our product or come and use our product, right? There's a slice, if not a whole pot of psychology that goes off into marketing, the color psychology, things of that nature, right? That's when I started to dig in on what color psychology was and why certain companies use certain colors. You feel what I'm saying? Everything is engineered. There's a reason why the TikTok logo looks like that. There's a reason why the Snapchat logo looks like that and it's yellow and it has a little Snapchat ghost, whatever the fuck that is, kind of like a Ku Klux Klan mask on a little bit. There's a reason why this should look like that. There's a reason why the Instagram and the Facebook and the WhatsApp and the Threads looks like that. There's a reason why X looks like that. Twitter looks like that. Meta looks like that. Alphabet looks like that. YouTube looks like that. Google looks like that. There's a reason behind it. You underdig me? So we're going to get into, like I said, some gangster shit. You feel me? Because matter of fact, let me set the let me set let me get a little bit of background music because somebody was like, oh, you know, background music. I'm gonna have a little bit of background music back here, you know, just to keep, we gotta work on. We have to work on listening again, ladies and gentlemen. You understand what I'm saying? We gotta work on listening again. Um, where is that shit? Where is that? Like I said, man, this shit is very important. And as soon as I find what I'm looking for to find, yeah, there we go. Let's get there. Nice. Okay, so here we are. Here we are. So let's go ahead and start the show. The mechanics of engineered compulsion, right? So let's take a look at the wiring, like engineers, not spectators. Put yourself in the mind like you're creating a platform, right? IG and YouTube, the platform still in this case, they are built around engagement optimization. That means behavioral looping, not just content delivery. The infinite scroll removes stopping cues, no end signal. You know how you just keep scrolling and keep scrolling and keep scrolling and keep scrolling and keep scrolling, and before you know it, you way back to some videos, in the watch later for, you know what I'm saying? The infinite scrolling feature, it wasn't always there. You understand what I'm saying? So it removes stopping cues, no end signals. And without a boundary, the brain defaults to continuation. Now, the autoplay removes the friction. And why the hell did my music stop musicking? I didn't put it on the loop. Put it on the loop, but then, all right. Now, autoplay removes decision friction. The next stimulus starts before intention speaks, and the momentum starts making choices for you. The algorithmic ranking selects what you see based on predicted engagement and what you're most likely to react to, emotion, replay, or beef with. You understand? So calm content, it often loses to activating content, right? Something that I learned, right? Um, I don't have, I don't make content where I'm talking at you. All this content is coming right at you. Yeah, these niggas shot these niggas. Fuck, excuse me, all type of random wild shit. You understand? My content is the polar opposite of that. You know what I'm saying? It's a calmer stance. It's a, hey, let's sit down and have this conversation. It's the difference between fast food and soul food. This takes time to digest and dissect, and the other shit is just, yeah, we're gonna make some processed chicken nuggets here. Here you go. You know what I'm saying? The hamburgers, here you go. You know what I'm saying? The French fries, boom, right there. It's not fulfilling, and it leaves you hungry. It leaves you hungry for the wrong shit though, because you deep down know that shit is unhealthy. But that soul food, it leaves you full. It leaves you with a certain amount of depth to it. Like it has a nuance to it where it's like you watch your mama and your grandmama have to go in there and do that. They had to soak them beans. They had to marinate that. They had to do this and do that to get prepared. They had to wash the grains and do this. And then when they cooked it, it made sense. Everything went together like your favorite poetry. You understand? So the algorithmic ranking selects what you see based on predicted engagement and what you're most likely to react to emotionally, replay, or argue with. Calm content often loses to the content that activates niggas, and in pure engagement math, incentives steer selection. I always told y'all this is a reward cycle. Social media became a reward cycle once all this shit started to become um, monetized. It started to go a different direction. You feel what I'm saying? People were less worried about the type of content that was being put out, and they started worrying about, well, we don't give a fuck what's out there. It get a million people. Like it can be some total negative, derogatory shit. You know what I'm saying? Some just out the wall, stupid shit that has no meaning. But the fact that it has a million people in these chats, shit, it's popping, it's bubbling. And these platforms and these ad campaigns are going to push towards that because they see it as, hey, you got people over here. We're going to push this towards you and get these AdSense and all this shit. You know what I'm saying? So it has become and a part of that I'm cool with. I'm just worried about what is being rewarded. You understand what I'm saying? And it's obvious that we can see a lot of this bullshit because the bullshit gets us activated. You understand what I'm saying? The beef, the drama, the negative content, the arguing, the fussing, the fighting, the screaming, the shouting gives people something about the human brain. It gets people active. You feel me? Short form loops compress stimulation cycles, fast hits, all these little dopamine releases, little recovery time. Not necessarily more pleasure, but more repetition. And the repetition is what platforms measure. Notifications, if you ever wonder why you set your notice for something, but you don't really get them, I'm about to tell you why. Like I said, this shit broken down. You know what I'm talking about? Like, anyway, we didn't go. Anyway, notifications run on variable timing and variable reward, sometimes important, sometimes trivial, always uncertain. Behavioral science gives a working theory here. Unpredictable rewards tend to produce persistent checking behavior. So let's put the pattern together. After everything I just said and a few tangents, let's put it all together. You feel what I'm saying? Let's put it all in one bag. You feel me? Remove stopping cues, remove friction, increase unpredictability, personalize the triggers, shorten the reward cycles. That's why YouTube went from you need 1,000, you need 1,000 subs to 500 subs. You need this amount. It used to be this amount of hours. Now it's this amount of hours. And they started divvying it up between the shorts because they had to compete with the reels from Instagram and the Snapchats from Snapchat. You feel what I'm saying? And the TikToks. They had to compete. the shorter reward cycles. You feel what I'm saying? So that is a design pattern. The legal question is whether that pattern becomes harmful when heavily used by young users. Now, we're going to get into the second part of this: engineered environments versus free choice, because that's the argument here, is design versus choice. Design versus choice. Design versus choice. Now, this is I would say, the philosophy layer of all this shit, right? The defense frame says this: these are tools, users choose, controls exist. You feel what I'm saying? Over the last couple of years, these platforms have been, because they've been getting sued, they have been, trying to say, hey, we're going to put this in here for young users and do this and do that. But there's no, they just covering their ass. The shit should have been there in the very beginning to protect these children. If they really wanted to protect the children, they would have created ways to protect the children with these platforms. You understand what I'm saying? Like I said, the defense frame says this: these are user tools. Users choose, controls exist. The plaintiff frame says this: they are adaptive environments, and the architecture shapes behavior. And a tool waits, but an environment pressures. A hammer doesn't do shit until you use it. A casino influences behavior the moment you step in. And the hammer is just gonna be a hammer unless you start hamming some shit. You understand me? But the casino gets you from the doorstep. You start looking around, the lights start flickering. You start hearing the sound. That just start working on your brain. You understand what I'm saying? The casino influences behavior the moment you enter. So it's damn near like we got a slot machine in our pocket. We got lights, we got sounds, we got everything. We got shit being money. They got everything locked in a pocket. They don't have to do much. I told y'all once before, a lot of this shit is already on autopilot. Now, modern social platforms, they adapt to behavior, and they also study what keeps you engaged and tune your feed accordingly. And that makes them closer to engineered environments than passive tools. Now, once you add brain development into the picture, the adolescents are still building impulse control systems. That's neuroscience, not judgment. And when friction is removed and stimulus is optimized, younger users feel stronger design pressure. But the choice still exists, but it's choice under optimized behavioral pressure, and it's not the same as choice under neutral conditions. It's forced down there. Now, if the hallway slopes, walking feels different. Anybody been to a hospital? Sometimes some hospitals got a little slight decline. You know what I'm saying? Like you still walking. Now that you walking a little bit downhill, you start walking a little bit faster. You understand what I'm saying? The underlying question becomes: at what point does slope become shove? And these companies are going to argue safety tools, limits, and controls exist. The plaintiffs argue that those guardrails came after the engagement highway was already engineered for speed. You can't put the toothpaste back in the tube. When these platforms first came out, one of the things that they should have decided was, this is how we are going to protect the children. but they never had that shit in mind. And that's my smoke with them too. Mind you, I graduated high school in 2008. So I'm a MySpace baby. You understand me? I'm a MySpace baby. I really wasn't on the Black Planet, but I know people who was on Black Planet, but I was a MySpace baby. You know, later on Facebook baby when I got to college. You understand what I'm saying? But I was a MySpace baby. You feel what I'm saying? Little Instagram here and there, but I was really a MySpace baby. Like, you know what I'm saying? I don't know. Man, I would love to talk to Tom right now. I would love to talk to Tom right now. If there's anybody I would love to talk to about this shit, I would love to talk to Tom. Tom is out living his life. I think he's a photographer now, but I would love to chop it up with Tom about this shit right here. I would love to know what he thinks about these platforms and how they've evolved from where he was. You know what I'm saying? Where in MySpace to now. Shout out to Tom. He out there somewhere. But like I said before, these companies they argue safety tools, limits, and controls exist, but the plaintiffs argue that these guardrails came after the engagement highway was already engineered for speed. The freedom isn't erased, but it's conditioned by design. All of this shit is by design. This YouTube shit is by design. YouTube shit will have you thinking like, man, my shit ain't really that good. No, nigga, it is good. Now, some of this shit ain't, but no, it is good. It's just that this shit is not algorithm friendly. My content is not algorithm friendly. I'm not arguing with niggas for no motherfucking reason. I'm not trying to argue with nobody for no. I'm not trying to have no beef and cause and have no drama. I don't get down like that in my real life. So why the fuck would I do it on the internet? To be a character. Yeah, I could do. Don't get me wrong. Sometimes I do feel like, God damn, I put me over there, but they are in a whole different ball game. That I don't even want to put my brain through none of that shit. These people are wrecking their fucking brains over this shit. I'd rather have my brain over all this shit. If this shit never get to where I always want it to be, goddamn it, so be it. But one thing I can never, hey, I did it my way. And I'm doing it a certain way. And the way I'm doing it is also by design. I'm designing this content and this platform, budgetary appeal, not to be like that other shit, because that other shit, for one, a lot of that shit's unnecessary. Number two, it doesn't give you anything. You can't use that to help you in life no motherfucking way. It don't give you no information. It's just niggas just doing nigga shit. Wasting time. Number three, how much time do you really have to waste? Number four, that shit's stupid. Number five, that shit dumb as a motherfucker. You know what I'm talking about? So I'd rather do it like this because this is where I'm comfortable at. I don't have to stress out over, I need to go call him a bitch ass nigga just so I can go get some engagement, so I can get engagement for him. No. I know that's the game, but I just choose not to play that game. I'd rather have a you know, a heated conversation, not an argument, but I want to facilitate conversations about some of this shit. We can have a conversation, but we're not gonna be calling each other names and bitch ass nigga. I'm gonna slap the shit at you. I'm gonna shoot you when I see you. But all that shit is what gets the engagement. You understand what I'm saying? All that shit is by design because there is a reward system for fuck shit. Now, a lot of us have children, and we've seen these videos of these children out here doing this shit on camera, losing their lives on camera, taking somebody else's lives on camera. These platforms have no way. No, fuck that. They have a way to do this shit, but they don't want to do it because it makes them money. If these niggas say, I'm gonna go over here, I'm gonna kill these niggas, it's You mean to tell me that these smart, nerdy sons of bitches can't find a way to say, hey, we got some bullshit that's going on that's over here, or create a motherfucking, automatic AI shit to say, hey, this is some bullshit going on over here, and we need to goddamn go over here and cut this shit off right the fuck now. You know what I'm saying? They act like they can't do it. I know it's millions of people, but they got millions of people hooked on this shit. They got millions of thousands of people trying to get monetized off this shit. You can get monetized, and they can take your monetization away just off the new standards. You understand what I'm saying? Look at this shit. Look at the screen. None of these motherfuckers look like us. Look. So the next step is why this trial matters, and it's beyond Mark Zuckerberg. Mark Zuckerberg is just who's up the bat right now. We're going to come back to this. There will be, a part two of this and what he said and how they broke it down and all that shit. That'll be probably tomorrow, right? But let's zoom out for a moment. You understand? This is not just about one executive or just one company. This is about whether attention architecture can carry responsibility. You understand? Now, this bellwether trial helps shape how thousands of similar lawsuits may proceed. When multiple platforms settle earlier in related, look, TikTok and Snapchat said, look, we don't want no smoke. Earlier litigation, TikTok and Snapchat said, hey, y'all got it. You know what I'm talking about? Y'all got it. So when multiple platforms settle earlier in litigation, in related litigation streams, it signals that the legal risk around engagement design is being taken seriously across the industry. The deeper shift is category change. And for years, platforms were treated like neutral pipes. Now, these courts are being asked to consider, better yet, these courts are being asked to consider them as behavior shaping systems. And if that shift holds, consequences will follow. Belt to ass will proceed. You understand me? Design choices become legal advice. No, not legal advice, legal evidence. I'm sorry. Design choices become legal evidence. Internal research becomes courtroom material. Engagement metrics become motive arguments. The interface design becomes intent signal. I'm gonna say it again because I kind of fucked it up at first. Design choices become legal evidence. Internal research becomes courtroom material, and engagement metrics become motive arguments. The interface design becomes intent signals, and code becomes the evidence without even speaking. There's also a social layer in this as well. That engagement maximizing systems tend to amplify intensity over nuance and spectacle over balance, not by conspiracy but by math and incentives. And when The amplification logic meets the culture and identity, distortion risk rises. All right, I'm gonna say it again. There's also a social layer. Engagement maximizing systems tend to amplify intensity over nuance and spectacle over balance. Intensity over nuance and spectacle over balance, not by conspiracy, but by math and incentives. When amplification logic meets culture and identity, distortion risk rises. And it's also the emerging question that I got from this is this: if a system is designed to steer behavior at a scale, right? Does the does the designer share responsibility for the outcomes? That's the question that I have. If a system is designed to steer behavior at scale, does the designer share responsibility for the outcome? Not total responsibility, not zero responsibility, but shared responsibility, right? Now, we blame individuals for losing control while defending systems engineered to remove stopping points. The feed isn't neutral, it's tuned, and it's finely tuned, if you ask me. You understand? So, as we close this shit out, we're around the 40-minute mark. This isn't a panic story. This is a digital literacy story. Digital literacy. You understand what I'm saying? And understanding design gives leverage because when you can see the mechanism, you can interrupt the loop. You know what I'm talking about? The awareness adds friction into frictionless systems. We need to add, excuse me, we need to add that friction. Again, understanding design gives leverage, and when you can see the mechanism, you can interrupt the loop, and the awareness adds friction back into frictionless systems. One more time, I kind of stammered through it, but understanding design gives leverage. When you can see the mechanism, you can interrupt the loop, and awareness adds friction back into frictionless systems. The courtroom is asking the courtroom is asking whether these systems should have been built this way. Like I was saying about 5 minutes earlier. They should have already been built with all this shit ready. These companies get too relaxed and too comfortable with just dropping some shit out and pushing it to the public. It's like all these video games for all my gamers out there. They drop the game, but the game ain't finally tuned when it first come out. They gotta fix this and fix that and fix all this. Well, why this shit ain't? And some shit they don't even fucking fix on purpose, just so they can come back the next year and say, "Yeah, we got improved." Like I can go on about 40 more minutes on that, but that's by design that they don't fix some of this shit. Cause they already got the money. They already got you in their pocket. Everything's already paid for 2, 3 times over. And for content creators, this is also very important because I guarantee you there will be a time where we will ask, okay, well, we're being a content creator and I put my content out. Why 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 don't I have the same chances as other people have their chances because their content, you know what I'm saying? Why isn't because it's not neutral. It's not made for content that's calm. Like all this calm content, only a few squeak by. But you're gonna need, a lot of these platforms already have some type of inside and involvement and money behind them. But if you getting this shit out the mud and you don't have no content about killing niggas or shooting niggas or slapping niggas and murdering people, and you ain't talking about no bullshit. You ain't if you're not doing that. Why can't these platforms that are not doing that have the same chance as platforms that do it? Why is it not separated? Why do I have to fight harder just because my content is not so algorithm friendly? Because I don't have no content that, you know, I don't, you know what I'm saying? How many people, how many people have you heard, or better, how many, I put it like this, in music? There's so many artists that have something totally different on their mind that they want to put out, but they also know they want to make it so bad that they have to bend to this bullshit ass culture just to get hot, and then trying to go back, and it's hard to go back. Toothpaste is already out the tube. Like Pimp C said, if you come out here as a cartoon character, you got to end as a cartoon character. If you came out, because how we start is how we finish. Point blank. How you start is how you finish. So I thought about how I started, and it's how I'm gonna finish. Yeah, I wanted to do, do all these numbers and all this other bullshit. Yeah, I wanted the engagement. Yeah, I still want that shit. Yeah, I think I deserve that shit. Yeah, I know I work harder than this shit. Yeah, I know I study harder than I read more than these niggas. I put more work in. I know. I know what I got. I know what I got. But unfortunately, I gotta fight harder because what I make and what I create is not algorithm friendly. Because the algorithm is tuned into some bullshit. We out here squabbling with Shamar over motherfucking views and shit. A goddamn retarded, crooked back body bitch. That's also gay. Niggas out here working, they busting their ass out here making content that means something. Just to put it out and do it over and over and over and over and over and over and over again, and not get the response that they goddamn right deserve. You'll find out the level of intelligence people have just by watching some of this shit. There is no balance. And once you understand that there is no balance, you understand that you will understand what fight that you're fighting. Put it like that. Because I'm not going to change. On the back end of it, it's only making me a better content creator. It's only getting me sharper. It's only grinding. Because I gotta find a way. A few of us out here really fighting and really squabbling bad. We can't even get the fucking support, likes, and views and all that because of all this shit that's going on. These platforms don't push our shit because, well, it's cool. You know what I'm saying? It's cool, but we don't get that same push. Now, if I came on here being ignorant, degenerate, talking a bunch of shit, the story would be different. But this shit can't have my soul, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want to, I don't want to play that game. I don't have it in me to play that game, to play the character game. I don't have it in me to pretend a different person on the internet as I am in real life. I don't have that in me. I just don't. I'm not gonna create no character, no exaggerated shit. This is me. This is what I do. So with these platforms, how they are designed is very important, and it's something that I've been pinpointing since ever since I started doing this show in this direction. Just go back in the catalog. We 23 episodes deep. Go back in the first 15, first 14, first 12 or 13 is in there. Fully fleshed out frameworks. Straight from my brain, from a pen or to a phone to you. This isn't a panic story, though. Like I said before, this is a digital literacy story. Understanding design gives leverage, and when you can see the mechanism, you can interrupt the loop, and awareness adds friction back into frictionless systems. The courtroom is asking whether these systems should have been built this way, right? That's what the courtrooms are going to present. Well, I understand what you're saying about you putting in all the safety. Ah, yeah, okay, cool, cool, cool. Shouldn't these platforms already been built that way from the beginning? You understand what I'm saying? We're asking how they work so people can choose with open eyes instead of open loops. You understand what I'm saying? So people can choose with open eyes instead of open loops. This is only gonna be the first episode. Shit, we got plenty more of this shit popping. You understand me? Up next, addiction by design versus freedom by choice. You know, wide open right here. But like I said, man, this is the trill pill. That's my time. This is the prescription. We want clarity over comfort over here at the trail pill, over here at the prescription. Make sure you hit that like button and you subscribe and you get me in the algorithm. Fuck with me. You know what I'm talking about? Share this to your mama, your auntie, your cousin, your nephew. Share it to everybody, man. These are the conversations that we need to start having, especially when I start to break this shit down on how it affects black content. And I'm gonna get to that real soon. But right now, we're just breaking this shit down because it's right on the table, right in front of us. We'll be back right here, right now. You know what I'm talking about? Same bat channel. You know what I'm talking about? Same Batman, same bat channel. I'm the Trill Pill, and I'm your host. This is the prescription. Much love. Mind your mental to be monumental. Stay trilling, healing. Most of all, stay mentally trill. I'm gone. Make sure you hit that notification button and all that other fly shit that these niggas created to get that popping. If you want to donate to the platform, holla at me, $ monumental on Twitch. Shout out to the people that have donated to the platform and gave to the platform. I appreciate you wholeheartedly. I work hard for this shit. You understand? So it does feel good to be getting some little cho-chos. Don't matter how big or small the amount. I appreciate it because you didn't have to do it. The same way I treat you with this time and this content because you don't have to watch. And I try to make sure that my content that I put out, you can pull something from it because we're not getting these minutes back. The minutes that I spent recording this and the minutes that you spent listening to this, you can't get them back. So you might as well do it with some real shit. I'm the Trill Pill. The niggas can't fuck with me like that. You understand me? One of a kind. I'm out of here. I'm gone. Let's get it.